Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. Today I'm doing a preview of the 2026 Oregon gubernatorial election. This will be the first governor's preview that I'm doing. And I want to start with the state of Oregon because when you look at the 2026, but right now there's 36 governor's races up in 2026, Oregon being one of the most West Coast states in the United States. So I thought it'd be fun to just do a brief little preview of the state, which is a usually very solid Democratic state, so it doesn't really get a ton of attention in terms of both presidential and statewide talk. So for the 2026 gubernatorial election, the incumbent Democratic Governor Tina Kotek, she won her first race back in 2022. She is eligible to run for re-election as a second term. She has not officially said if she will be running, but she is a potential candidate and likely will be running again. On the Republican side of things, the only Republican that's been mentioned as a potential candidate is Chael Sonnen, the fight promoter and retired UFC professional fighter. He went on, I believe it was Greg Gutfeld show on Fox News. This is from back towards the end of November, early December, where he said he would like to run for governor of Oregon. He hasn't really commented on it any more than that, but it does leave him as the only potential Republican candidate for this race if he does decide to run. As for how the state of Oregon voted, well, firstly, in the 2022 governor election, things actually ended up being very close. It was about a 3.5% margin of victory for Tina Kotek in her governor's race last time around. It was a very special case where Kotek got 47%, the Republican Christine Drazan got 43.6%, where the independent candidate Betsy Johnson got about 8.6% of the vote. And judging by the way that Oregon usually votes at the presidential level and the Senate level, it's fully expected Betsy Johnson took a lot of votes away from Tina Kotek, the Democrat, seeing as when you look at the 2024 presidential race, Donald Trump only got 41.2%, Harris got 55.6%, Trump only getting about 2% less than what Christine Drazan got in 2022. Still, that 3.5% victory would be a lean Democratic win for the Democrats, and that's probably one of the closer elections we've seen in Oregon and probably will be seeing for quite some time. As for the state of Oregon goes, one of the most important areas to mention in the entire state is right here. This is Multnomah County. This is where the city of Portland is, largest city in the capital of Oregon, or in the state of Oregon, has over 365,000 people of the total 1.95 million votes from 2022. 365,000 of them came out of Multnomah County, and it also has two counties right next to it in Washington County and Hood River County that also voted Democrat. Washington County much larger in population. These two areas combined for a lot of votes, over about 505,000 to 510,000 votes come just out of this area right here. So these are very important. The next is Clackamas County right here, which voted for Drazan 48 to 43. This is a very close county, very competitive. It was won by the Republican in 2022. At the 2024 presidential map, Kamala Harris defeated Donald Trump here by about 9 points. So this is also a very important county. Just to show you the margins in these counties, it was 79-17 in Multnomah for Harris over Trump, whereas the governor's race ended up being 73 to 20. So again, 73 to 20 versus about 79-17. So the Republican in 2022 did about 3 points better than Trump there. Clackamas is a very big one. Harris 53-44. Again, it ended up being 48-43 for Drazan over Kotek. So for a Republican like Chael Sonnen trying to make this race competitive, this map from 2022 is a very good starting place where there's a lot of close Republican wins like in Tillamook County, Columbia County, Clackamas County, and Deschutes County. These areas aren't going to be as large in population as something like Multnomah would be, or even Washington County will be. But when you add the votes up in these areas and the margins of victory, it could translate, if all of them go the same way as it did in 2022, into maybe being a competitive race. Democrats also did have some big wins as well in Benton County and Lane County as well. Lane County, which has the city of Eugene, is the fourth largest county in the state of Oregon. And then Marion County, this is where you start to get into more of the other counties in Oregon that end up going Republican. It is worth noting that the 5 largest counties in the state of Oregon, Multnomah, Washington, Clackamas, Lane, and Marion, 3 out of the 5 do vote for the Democrats, and 2 out of the 5 vote for the Republicans. But it is also worth noting Multnomah, where Portland is, ends up having about 110,000 more people living in it than the second largest Democratic county, which is also Washington County. Both of them had very big wins for the Democrats in these two counties, 53% and 20% in 2022. Where Clackamas, the third largest county, is very big. The Republicans won it, but the Republican also only won it by 5 points, where the Democrat is winning their top 3 largest counties by over double digits. So for the Republicans like Chael Sonnen to win in 2022 in Oregon, yes, winning Clackamas County 48-43 is great. They likely need to be winning this county by like 10 points to really be competitive and make themselves a play for 2026, and that's going to be very tough to do. It shifted from the presidential level from 2020 to 2024. Multnomah County, which again is where the city of Portland is, actually did shift towards Kamala Harris by about 0.3%. Right below it, Clackamas County did shift towards Trump 1.3%, so very big for Trump to get a lean there. Washington County, which also voted Democrat, did shift towards Trump by 0.91%. And then we go down to Lane County, another big Democratic win, where Trump did shift it by 1.4%. So Oregon definitely voted more Republican in 2024 than it did in 2020, but still marginal shifts across the board. Nothing too substantial other than Jefferson 6.4 and Omotia 5.6 on their Trump side. Nothing really too big shifts in the state of Oregon overall in those areas. As for the governor level, we can compare past elections here. We're going to look at the 2022 governor's map and go to the 2018 governor's map. And in this one, the third-party candidate changed a lot of things, but Oregon moved overall about 3 points towards the Republican direction from 2018, which was a very good night for the Democrats in a blue year, to 2022. The question will be, can Democrats replicate the success they had in 2018, and will 2026 be as blue as it was in 2018? That's just a brief breakdown of the state of Oregon and some of the counties in the state. Right now, the prediction for this race, Oregon's tricky because it was a close race last time around, but again, there's been no indication an independent candidate will run this time around. It was a likely Democratic win in 2024. 2026 is expected to be more of a Democratic night than 2024 ended up being. But that being said, governor races could also be a little more competitive than presidential races, where for some reason voters are more likely to vote for instance, a Democratic state is more likely to vote for a Republican in a governor's race than at a federal race. So Oregon, I am actually going to start this race out very barely as likely Democratic at this time. Really could go safe Democratic without a doubt, but I think right now it started out as likely Democrat. Is just waiting on more information out of the race. Both does Tina Kotek decide to run and does Chael Sonnen decide to run. If Sonnen does not run, I could see this race not really being competitive at all and easily going up to safe Democrat. But for now, a likely Democratic win of around 13.5% or so, or even 14%, I think is certainly very possible for 2026. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to give the video a like and click subscribe, and hope to see you in the next video.